Hey everybody, it's Master Gallengeist here, bringing you my review for the latest episode of Obi-Wan Kenobi, Part 5. And I thought overall that this episode was okay, even though that there were pretty much issues that I think were just fucking stupid that kind of pop up within this, and kind of shows how unneeded this is other than just to put out more Star Wars. Like, honestly, if you had just made a young Leia show, having her tooling around as a kid, that would have been better. Like, Obi-Wan's not really even, like, the focus of this. Everybody else is pretty much the focus, which, interestingly enough, I kind of have the same kind of issue with Ms. Marvel. Except I like the other characters around, whereas I'm like, I want to look more at Obi-Wan. Oh, and by the way, I forgot this one thing that they did in the last episode where they just essentially had Leia kind of stand under Obi-Wan's trench coat, and I'm just like, okay, that's just another level of stupid that has just become accepted in this. Just continue on. So, we pretty much see that Reva is given the title of Grand Inquisitor by Vader because they're tracking Kenobi with the tracker that they put in Lola. We also get a fucking flashback scene of pretty much Padawan Anakin training against Master Kenobi, and okay, it's cool to see Hayden Christensen as Anakin again, and it. Let me see here for a minute. Christensen. Yeah. It's just really fucking weird. Like, he doesn't look vastly older, but he looks older than the time frame that they're doing it from. It's like, if they weren't, they should have at least put him as training against Obi-Wan. They were just having a sparring match, like, episode 3 style. Even though he had been a knight at that point and all that, but the flashback adds nothing other than to pretty much bait people into saying, hey, we got Hayden back from the prequels, and that people can then cheer for it. Because here's the thing, it doesn't give us things that we haven't already known. If you've already seen the prequels, you know Anakin went in Hambo Jambo, Rambo Blambo as an aggressive motherfucker on things. We've already seen this. Why do we have this here? Like, you could literally cut it only because, like, you could literally cut it. It adds nothing that we don't already know. Like, the only reason you would be watching this is because you are a fan of the prequels and you want to see more stuff with the prequel actors. So, that could have just been cut because it's already giving us information that we already have. Like, it's not even like if you're completely new to the series and you're like just going into this. Like, if you are going to watch Kenobi, you have to already know who the Kenobi character is and have an interest in him. If you already have done that, more than likely you've already watched the prequels, because it's got Ewan McGregor from the prequels. I'm sorry I'm expounding upon this, but it's a thing that adds nothing. Nothing, except just, hey, we got the prequel actors back. Alright? And that's it. Okay. So they just fight, and we pretty much see that Anakin is just being aggressive, and Anakin says that nobody's ever won through mercy, which that's the only line that I like that was put in there, because he is defeated and like becomes back to the light side because of the mercy of his son, because he asks for mercy as well, and he gives that mercy by tossing a shriveled old fucknut down to a power well, even though that doesn't fucking kill him. Fucking shit. So, there's that, and we see that Lola goes and pretty much traps the Path people and locks the thing, and they just pretty much putz around trying to figure out how to kind of get out of that. before, of course, Vader and Reva pop in and be like, hey, we're gonna take you down. We're gonna take you down. Say, hey, gonna take you down. Because that's what we got here. And Obi-Wan, for some reason, no, not for some reason. The plot demands that Obi-Wan gives his lightsaber and his like little communication thing because he sees that he got like a message from Bail, pretty much being like, "Hey, I haven't heard you in like a while, so if things got kind of nutty hairy, I'm gonna go and like make sure that Luke's protected." Deuces, and then we're pretty much like, "Why is this here?" Oh, because the plot demands it. Because we're gonna see that at the end. So Obi-Wan pretty much calms the people down. He sees the lightsabers and everything like that, which nobody fucking uses, and says, hey, listen, our objective here is to pretty much hold them off until we can get this up and we could just all get out of here. Alright? We're going to try and make sure that not everybody dies here. We're not going to do a last stand kind of thing. We're just going to hold them off long enough to get the fuck out of here. So, alright. And then we see Reva goes down, got her new fucking Grand Inquisitor pin, and has them to fucking pretty much use a giant blaster thing at the door. And you're just like, alright, let's kind of see how this goes. And then Obi-Wan's like, hey, listen, I want to negotiate. And then we get the plot thing of that she was one of the younglings that we saw in the beginning because, of course, that's where it was kind of heading at. It's, like, not that subtle. It's like, oh, okay, why is this being shown? It's probably being connected to one of the characters that we've seen. And since we don't see any of the other kind of looking characters from this youngling thing, it's probably her. And it is her. And we learn and see Hayden again, this time as Vader Anakin, executing Order 66, and how he killed the younglings. They thought he was there to help them. And he evidently stabbed her through. Like, the amount of people that survived getting stabbed through with a lightsaber, it's plot demanding shit. Like, the plot demanded that Qui-Gon Jinn fucking got toasted with that because, yeah, granted, center mass. Well, granted, if you're thinking about it, it's like, okay, spine, stomach, alright. But we keep going through later, and it's like, that's kind of fucking stupid. Like, nobody knows how to, like, go for vital organs, especially if they're, like, dark side users who are like, yeah, this is my jam. But, she wants to get vengeance on Vader, and the thing is, she is using Obi-Wan to draw Vader out, and so that way she can hunt Vader and kill Vader. And the thing is, Obi-Wan's like, hey, how about I help you with this? And she's like, why didn't you help us? Why didn't you help out? Do you see what, like, fucking mechanical monstrosity Vader is? He pretty much thought he was fucking toasted like a goddamn marshmallow on Mustafar. Like, the only thing Obi-Wan could have done better, and granted, if he was being such a fucking tool as he was, is to go down and kick his ass into the lava. Which, with everything that's been going on, granted, I understand that would have been the more prudent course of action, but he still loved Anakin, and he hates what's going on. He's like, yeah, he's pretty much dead. Granted, Palpatine shouldn't have gotten there in enough time, because he probably should have died and succumbed to his injuries, but we are here, and we must take into account what we've already got, no matter how fucking insane it is. And she's just like, fuck you, eat my ass, and pretty much just like, again, it's the content for the actors, not the actors themselves, and the direction. It's like, I get, like, if you like this, that's cool. I want no animosity towards you. I don't want you to feel bad for it. It's just, it deserves to be better. And I'm getting so many fucking Black Widow vibes off of this of like, hey, here's this in-between story that has no consequences because it's gotta go back to the status quo. Hoo-ha! So, then we get pretty much this fight scene as a blast out as the Path people are trying to, like, keep them from, like, going further in. Some people get injured. Obi-Wan's kind of, like, helping them out. Tala gets injured and pretty much blows herself up with a thermal detonator. And I did also like seeing that the droid was kind of helping her out. And Obi-Wan's affected by this. Leia is pretty much put into a vent that Lola was in to try and fix things. And she essentially takes the required amount of time for the plot, demanding that she takes. I'm like, how does she even know what the fuck she's doing in there? Like, I'm not saying that a 10-year-old does not have the capabilities to do some crazy-ass shit with some shit, alright? Like, Anakin, at that age, That makes sense because he worked in a fucking mechanic shop, pretty much. He fucked around and tinkered with droids and electronics all day. If you, like, took little Anakin and shoved him in there, yep, you got it. He good. He can fuck around with that shit. We have seen nothing to the effect that Leia would be able to do anything like this. Granted, she might have the capabilities of doing some weird kind of security work to get out of some place, because she looks squirrely like that with her mother and would be like, I want the fuck out of here so I can just go into the trees and shit. It's like, alright, cool. But this to, like, make sure that, like, a fucking wired, like, cable management mismatching motherfucking vent thing, she just, like, fucks around and finds, of course, her droid, takes her restraining bolt out, and diddle-doo-dahs, and then, oof. Obi-Wan, of course, presents himself, does another attempt, be like, hey, Vader, come down, do his shit, all that. And Vader's like, yeah, I'm coming down. I'm gonna do my shit and get down. Get down. Do my shit and get down. So, they do that, but, everything kind of gets worked out. Obi-Wan pretty much, like, runs back in before things go nutty. That's kind of weird. Was that before? No, he did that. He told Haja to look after Leia, and then he gets back in before Vader gets down, and they pretty much are getting ready to escape, and Vader comes in like a badass. No, yeah, they put Obi-Wan in this place that he could pretty much easily escape from. Vader comes down. Obi-Wan, like, kicks the stormtroopers' asses, gets in there. They make the fly out. Vader's popping in, and we see this ship going up, and he does pretty much Starkiller kind of style. Brings it back down, rips it apart. Nobody's in there. Then we see that the other one flies off, and it's like, oh, okay. And then this Roken dude's like, hey, we got out of there, but Obi-Wan's feeling like something didn't go right. And then we see that Reva attempted to kill Vader and had a pretty decent fight. I at least give this fight some props because Reva's trying to kill him with her Inquisitor lightsabers and everything, and she's not successful. However, we see that Vader doesn't even utilize his lightsaber. He's utilizing the Force to stop her and everything like that, and then getting her own blades away from her before stabbing her through and not killing her. And I'm like, Vader has killed so many Jedi and so many Force users. Why would he not just kill her? I thought he was going to Dooku her ass and just chop her head off. But the plot demands that there's more use to her, because we'd seen that Haja accidentally dropped the whole thing from Bail Organa, and that she finds the message after that. But he's like, you didn't think I knew that you were doing your shit. It's like, yeah, because the plot demands that you knew this shit, but granted, you're Darth Vader, and you should know this shit, because that's how the dark side users and Sith shit go. And then the Grand Inquisitor comes back and is like, hey, guess what? People can just survive getting fucking stabbed through with lightsabers now, because fucking reasons. Mainly because, now granted, if he was grievously wounded in some other kind of way that put him out of commission, sure. But he needed to be alive to be in Rebels and shit like that, so fucking details. I'm like, aha, you're gonna be in the gutter where you belong, asshole. Yeah, sheep. And then Vader's like, fuck you. And leaves, like, her lightsabers there, and then he, like, walks off, and then she gets her lightsaber, sees the message, and just make it look like, okay, she's going to Tatooine for Luke and shit, because it's garbled and all that, but she makes out Owen Tatooine and all that, and like, why the fuck are you still here? There's no tracker on them. What, are you going to somehow still live through this grievous wound that evidently isn't that grievous unless the plot demands that you fucking die, and then try and get Kenobi again to be like, I failed, but I need your ass as bait again to try it again? Like, she didn't really use the Force against him. She didn't really do much against him except use the lightsabers because the plot demanded that she fail. Like, if she'd used Force lightning on his ass, that would have brought some problems to him. Like, if she went full force hardcore attempting to kill Darth Vader, That would be one thing to see her fail. This, it's just like, I'm looking at her and I'm like, why are you an inquisitor? Like, you can't really catch the people you're going for. You can't really get the information out of the people you're going for. You didn't even kill the dude that you were supposed to kill with the maneuver that you did, but that's more to the plot more than anything. It's just really kind of weird. Like, they're telling us and trying to show us how badass of a character she is, but they stymie her consistently and, like, screw her over plot-wise. Like, I understand from, like, reviewing stuff that you do have to do a certain amount of plot fuckery on certain things. Otherwise, a character, if they do a stupid-ass thing, will put you, like, if they're your main character, whatnot, or somebody you're following, that character should by all rights be dead, and if you have to commit to that, then the story's fucking over. So some bullshit and shenanigans has to sometimes pop up to make sure that your main character actually survives to get a thing done. However, here, I'm looking through this and I'm like, even though we've got all these actors doing all these cool things and trying to do their best, the content isn't there, and the fighting is just, it's okay. Like, I understand getting certain things through for character work and everything like that, and showing that Vader is, like, a complete and utter powerhouse. Alright? Like, I don't want Vader to just be, like, nerfed, so that way she can kick his ass. However, I don't want her to be nerfed completely because she's attempting to get her vengeance on someone who tried to pretty much kill her ass, and her not utilizing, like, the full extent of any kind of abilities. Even though I don't know what kind of abilities she has, other than to just fucking parkour around places and use the Kylo Ren force thing to, like, get info out of people. If that's even what that is. I don't know. It hurts my brain. So, like, it had at least decent kind of stuff of seeing the fight scenes between Obi-Wan and Anakin, even though I'm like, this doesn't need to be here. So, yes, even though I would cut that entirely, at least the choreography and the fighting of it was decent, even though we'd already gotten that information previously. The Order 66 thing. Alright. We got to see Obi-Wan do some kind of stuff with his lightsaber effects and all that. Reva's and Vader's was pretty much really good. Well, not really good, but at least decent enough to be like, oh, okay, seeing Vader fucking go, whoa, bitch, and, like, thundercrack a fucking ship back down and then rip it to shreds, that was decent and cool and showed the complete and utter power of Vader, even though if that was what he could do and he just did it to a ship, why didn't he just rip Reva apart with the Force, literally? Like, hey, hello, goodbye. Because she pretty much served her purpose. Like, I don't know, like, is she gonna find Kenobi again? I mean, granted, of course we get that because we've got another fucking episode, but I don't know. Like, I'm gonna get to the end of this and be like, huh, the central question of why does this exist? Just to have more Star Wars, regardless of the quality or content. And it's just like, huh. Like, they could have just literally Leia doing shit, and you could have done that until she, like, the actress grew up. Really, just pumping out season here, season there. Or fucking did an animated thing and had her voice it and everything. Yep. So those are my opinions on the episode. Tell me what you guys think in the comments below. If you liked it, if you didn't like it, if you agree with me, if you disagree with me. Also, like and subscribe, and I hope you have a good day.